What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to take a look back at a venerable title that I hold in very high regard, even though it's not going to be a game that's for everybody. We're taking a look at Mech Engineers today. If you have never seen Mech Engineers before, it has been a good long time since we checked out Mech Engineers. Mech Engineers is a very, very gritty microprose game about managing mech teams in a post-apocalyptic world. If you've ever seen Judge Dredd, you know how there's like big megacities? Imagine that the world was destroyed. We came back to Earth with a deployable megacity that's on like spider legs that can walk around. And in so doing, we now have mech teams, and we are fighting back against the bugs that have wiped us out, and we're trying to take our planet back. That's pretty much the short and skinny of the entire idea of the game. Now, this game comes strapped with an incredibly obtuse UI that takes a lot of getting used to. I'm going to use this as kind of like my yearly opportunity to try to teach you guys how to play the game, at least at a core functionality baseline level, so that you can get into the title. But for right now, we're defending the landing zone. This is the bare basics beginning of the game. When you first start out, we are actively trying to secure our landing zone now that we have made planetfall. Unfortunately, it's not going altogether that well. You see all that red on the radar in the bottom right? Yeah, that's how many enemies we have to go up against right now. And so our mechs, you can see them right here, they are all firing and shooting and scooting and attempting to survive for as long as humanly possible. The little white blips that you're seeing, those are going to be the bugs. Oh my goodness gracious, there's so many of them. Okay, march into the middle of the bug formation. I think that's going to be like our only main option right here. We've got worms crawling around. We got all kinds of crazy stuff going on. Let's go ahead and amass some artillery fire, maybe to help out with some of that enemy density right there. Fire off a few rounds. You've got support weapons that you can fire. But if after watching this you did indeed want to get the game for yourself, I have a link for you down below in the description. The game is currently in early access, and it's being made by a member of the Nerd Castle, a man by the name of Kyber, who has very eclectic ideas about game design that I would love to see turn into like a long and prosperous career, because these are the kind of games that I'm into. You can also find a link down there to my Discord and my Twitch stream, just in case you wanted to hang out live. But let's get right on into it. So, no, I didn't get to collect my crates, bro. My crates! I wanted my big green crates! And so everybody made it back to base alive, and that was our first battle. We're gonna have to do a whole bunch of maintenance here. The game has gotten better about having lots of pop-ups and things that explain to you what everything does, but the number one thing you need to be aware of in this title, the manual. This guy right here, you're gonna have to read it at some point. There's no way around it. This game is old school. This is one of those games that like back in the 90s would have fit right in, where you were expected to have read an entire like 200-page leather-bound manual that came inside the box before you even started attempting to play. I'm going to try to streamline that process a little bit for you so that you can dive straight on in, but let me do some basic maintenance first, and then we'll talk about the game. So believe it or not, this area of the UI is where you're going to spend the vast majority of your time. I got to put my pilots on shore leave right now because they're tired. But let's walk through it from the left to the right. Actually, let's take a mission. So you know how in the Matrix, when Tank is first sitting down to train Neo and like teach him how to be a Matrix operator, he throws out a bunch of the training discs and he says that like, we'll start with combat training because the rest of this is major boring shit. That's exactly what we're going to do right now. I'm going to walk you through the basics of combat because we're early on in the video. YouTube likes to see people engaged. YouTube likes to see people into it, and combat is by far the most interesting part of this title. So if you want to take a mission, you go to this little tab over here. At the beginning of the game, XCOM style, you're going to place your base somewhere on the planet. I would recommend northwards. So heat plays a major portion in this game, but like up in Canada, you're going to want to be up in Siberia. You're going to want to be up in Norway or something. It gets hotter down to the south because the planet once again has been ravaged by these bugs, and so it's basically endless stone lava fields. As you get further south, you're going to need much more specialized equipment. Otherwise, bad things are going to happen, and you're going to have a terrible time. We also want to click on these numbers right here. On the overworld map, you're kind of playing Minesweeper. The number on here is basically the number of enemy bases, I think, that are adjacent to these areas. This is not like a difficulty rating or anything. You're going to have to click through them to find out. This guy right here, we've got a -30 temperature rating, and it looks like we're getting a double bonus to Metalite pickups, and it looks like only the little enemy skitterers are going to be inside of here. So let's have a look at this battle map. It doesn't look too bad to me. Let's go ahead and click some of these pilots on in, and let's take them for a ride, shall we? And so when you deploy into combat, this is the default view. It's going to give you a rough idea of what's going on with all your mechs. You've got everything from the EKG of the pilot inside. This little red number down here, the red bar is their vitality, the blue bar is their stress. When they stress out, they just start doing stuff randomly. All of your pilots have attributes, they have skills, they have things that they do, but red meter go all the way down to the bottom, pilot dead. Blue meter go all the way up to the top, and character panics, and that's not great. You don't want a panicked character inside a 100-ton death machine that fires 2,400 rounds per minute, all right? You really, really don't want that. Left-hand side, you've got the weapons that they're equipped with, the amount of ammunition they have left. You've got their reactor temperatures over here. When you exceed your reactor temperature, they shut down for a little bit, just like in Mech Warrior. You've also got artillery strikes over here. You can change around, actually, the display if you want. This game has lots of fiddly, clicky little implements that you can play around with. I prefer to play in full screen mode, but by and large, in most missions, we're in here to wipe out the bugs. And there's one right there. Get him, get him, get him, get him. Yeah, get him, get him, get him, get him. Taste that bullet venom. Taste that bullet. Get him. We got that right there. When we kill that big wormy guy right there, he's going to drop a bunch of goodies. It looks like we've already got bugs converging on our position. When you are in combat, you can rubber bandbox. This color is not going to work for YouTube, is it? Let's see if we can find something a little bit more. I guess we'll go with black and white for right now. Different environments, you've got different colors. Actually, the black works right there. So when you're in combat, you can rubber bandbox people. If you double left click, they will autonomously auto battle. They will cruise throughout the mission map, and they will just do the mission using their best judgment. There are good times to do that, and there are really bad times to do that. In general, I manually control everybody. If you have these little guys selected right here, you can right-click whenever the reticle converges on your mouse. There is a limit on how many orders you can give, but you can also tell them to, like, draw a path and stuff like that with your right-click. I'm going to give them an order to push forward a little bit against the skitterers, try to establish a beachhead. There may be spawners on this map that we want to take a look at. Bottom right-hand corner, you've got a radar that'll let you know what's going on. Let's go back to this view right here, because I wanted to take a look. Everybody's temperatures are actually really nominal right now. The thing is, reload speeds are going to happen all simultaneously at the same time. So we're going to have to actually fall back and give ground here for a second until the guns are reloaded. Then we're going to have to retake that ground. Give me the full screen view one more time. How are things going here? They're really flooding in right now. We do have a spawner over on that side. You can see it right there. We're going to have to push in, and we're going to have to take that. I'm going to call in double artillery over there. This may not work out. I was hoping the artillery would give us just a little bit of peace and quiet against the bugs, but it looks like all of our weapons are on reload. These little red zones right here, they're going to make your mech move slower. They're environmental hazards in this game. So you're going to run into things like firestorms, tornadoes, stuff that in general you don't want your mech to get caught up inside of. It's looking okay over here. Spawner's going to try to move. Let's push it a little bit. I'm going to push my... This is an aggressive move right here, but we got to get this spawner. Otherwise, we are never going to take any ground. All right, so we've got spawner number 1. Spawner number 2 and spawner number 3 are up top. Let's push up a little bit. Let's get not too aggressive because I think a reload is coming up in just a second. Oh, we got both the spawners. Very nice. So both the spawners are down. Now, you might have noticed that big circle over there. That's our target. So there's going to be like a brain bug in each of these maps. And these maps are not always just one map. Sometimes these maps are multiple maps, and you've got to go down wormholes, and you've got to crawl through caves, and you've got to keep your team alive and coherent throughout that entire experience. I'm going to fall back a little bit. I don't love what's going on over here. I don't know exactly how this is going to play. But let's have everybody hang tight on this side. Gave him a little missile burst right there. Turn on the machine guns. The environments are destructible. If a lot of bullets hit these pillars and things over here, what you'll find is that they get destroyed. How are we looking with ammo right now? Ammo's looking okay. All right, so we're going to go with a little bit of the tighter view right now. And I think we got most of the spawners. I think. If there's no enemies around, the game will 100% put you into speedy mode so that you can move around the map a little bit more quickly. Yeah, I need you guys to clear that corner right there. If you don't clear that corner right there, we're going to have a thing called Bad Christmas, and I don't want to have Bad Christmas. I want to have Good Christmas with all the cranberry sauce and everything else. So let's not have Bad Christmas. It looks like there's potentially another spawner up here that we're going to need to have a look at. They're firing at the boss right there, which is perfectly fine. Every single bullet in this game, whether it penetrates or not, enemies have an armor value and a health value. Whether your bullets penetrate or not, you are shearing away their armor by the pure value of friction, basically. I need to push up through here. Oh, we've got a guy stuck in the doldrums. Hopefully he's reloaded and ready to rock. You guys try to push forward over here. Give him a little bit of breathing room. We do have one spawner left, but we're reloading right now. Fall back, 4, fall back. Okay, 4 took a little bit of a scuffing right there. That's a little unfortunate. Wish 4 had not taken a scuffing. And it looks like we got that finalized spawner. So we should be able to tackle the boss right now when and how we feel that we can do that. We want to stay outside the giant white ring. And then we're going to need to push up. Let's push up. You guys have bosses to kill. Get in there. I think we may have to flank around from the other side because he's got like a shield around him for right now. And until we get the shield off of him, things are going to get a little bit ugly. All right, so we're making Beachhead with the bad guy right now. They may kill him off screen. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. But we're waiting for this force wall to go down. Once the force wall goes down, I'll feel better about pushing up in there. But in tight spaces, when they grind against the walls and whatnot, you're going to end up in a situation. Oh, we've got him actually like frozen up. Good. I've got a modifier on my weapons right now. And after we get through this mission, I'm going to show you just how customizable this game is and how many things there are to fiddle with. For some people, this is going to be hugely overwhelming, and it's going to make them just be like, I don't even know what to do here. For other people, they're going to be like, this is the coolest shit that I've ever seen. I want to play this super bad. It's going to come down to personality type, because I grew up in the 90s with those microprose style games. This kind of thing is not daunting to me, but to some people I can understand why it would be. There's a lot to learn here. So the boss is now dead. We don't want to complete the mission, though. If we double left click, they'll go over here and they'll capture the spot where the dead boss is. But we want to pick up all these crates first, because if we go back to our normal viewpoint right here, through the scope, you'll see at the bottom, we're trying to extract resources. So really the core balance of this game is that you're using these resources to do your stuff in the base, in between runs, and then when you start to get low, you've got to go out on away missions, which is where things are going to start to get sketchy, and you have a chance of loss. So we've picked up the crates over there. We got 900 Metalite, which is great, dude. I chew through Metalite like crazy. We're going to go ahead and double left click. They're going to go to the capture point. And you'll see here, this little meter is going to go up, and we've completed the mission. Congratulations on concluding your first mission in Mech Engineers. Now we get to the fun part, though, which is where I'm going to spend 10 minutes explaining how the game works to you on each of these tabs. Now, we'll start from the left, but I'm going to need some volunteers if we're going to start from the left. So we'll take Frog, we'll put him inside the bay, we'll take Steel, we'll put them inside the repair bay. You guys, we're going to go into the pilot interface, and you guys just get some R&R. That's all I need from you guys. Get some R&R, do your thing. This little yellow meter up here is their XP. They level up from doing missions. When they hit certain thresholds, they will get skills. Like you see on Freeze right here. He's got a skill that makes it so everybody in his squad, if he's leader, reloads 25% faster. That's huge because in my experience, reloads are where everything fall apart. That's when you're going to be falling back and displacing and like praying for some kind of miracle and like calling in airstrikes. In my opinion, this is a really, really good boost right here. We'll go ahead and fix all the mechs right now very rapidly. And from the left, the engineering tab. This is where the meat and potatoes of the game is going to take place. You've got 3 tabs on the left here for mechs, reactors, and weapons. You can go through them as you see fit. And all of these things are customizable, every single one of them. So for example, your mech has hard points. You can see this guy kitted out. He's got a rocket launcher, he's got a minigun, he's got motors and servos, he's got a cabin, which is going to increase the HP and the armor of your pilot inside when you get more advanced ones. He's got ammo racks. These are going to increase the duration of his firing time and also make him reload faster. You can see I've just stacked those up like crazy. You've got different motors over here. You've got different cabins. You've got different auxiliary units that you can put on in here. But that's not all. You've got reactors. This is the central main player of any mech. A reactor is comprised of injectors and pistons. The rough idea that you need to understand is that you want more pressure. The more pressure you have, the higher the temperature control goes, higher energy output goes, and so this is fairly linear and fairly understandable. These little levers right here will increase the reactor load so you can test out the heat a little bit if you want to. This is the reactor's heat that it generates. This is the heat that it cools off. You want these to be roughly commensurate with one another so that it runs nice and neutral. You've also got auxiliary units you can put inside of here. I've stacked up 5 external resistance units. External resistance units, that's basically insulation from outside heat. You also have internal insulation, which is this inner resistance right here, which increases your resistance to the weapons being generated by general function coming from inside the mech. I have found that in the early game, when you don't have access to very good auxiliaries, but you may get a bad procedural map that has lots of high temperature zones and things that are going to be constantly overheating your mech, I like to put in the auxiliaries that protect me from outside heat. Let's take the reactor on out of there, and here's the fun stuff. The minigun. With the minigun, you're going to be given a number of points from these lights right here. You can assign them as you see fit to increase the fire rate, to increase the accuracy, to increase the energy efficiency, to increase the damage and armor penetration. You can decrease the weight of the unit itself when it goes onto the mech. You can save these settings and then drag another weapon of the same kind in, and then import those settings so that it doesn't take you a really long time to get this stuff done. You can also run simulations on the screen right here with a target that you can move further back or further forward. You can set up minimum engagement range through here on this little menu right here. You can decide how close they want the enemy to be before they start firing. They may ignore that order based on their stats. It kind of depends, but roughly that's how the game functions. If you wanted to set up a reactor for the first time, because I see a lot of people getting stuck on this, put a piston in it, and then put an injector into it, and then hit this little button right here and ignite the reactor. That's the whole thing. Once you've got that done, put in your auxiliaries that you think you're going to use. This game is a big trial and error game. You're going to die a lot when you first start playing this game. If you make it through your first couple missions without losing mechs, I would be shocked if you've never played this game before, because you've got to fiddle with stuff. It's called Mech Engineers, not mech badasses killing everything. You're supposed to be tinkering in between each run to suit your mech to the needs of the mission that is coming. Believe it or not, this is actually the main part of the game. The combat is there and the combat is good, but you being able to look at a map, look at the challenges that you're going up against, the types of enemies and armor you're going up against, the kind of enemy speed and resistance you're going up against. You're supposed to be bringing your mechs out of the bay and tailoring them to each mission. Sometimes you've got a really good loadout that doesn't need tailoring, and maybe it's a multi-purpose loadout. That's fine, but that's going to fold when you get into a mission that requires you have a very focused team with a very focused strategy. Production. You can order things from here. If you have engineers available. So for example, I find in the beginning of the game, it's a really good idea to load yourself up on componentry. We'll talk about why in a little bit. For right now, it's not hugely important. We are manufacturing all this stuff, by the way, so make sure you watch your Metalite, your Bjorn, your Munilon, and your Skalanit, because you can run out, and then you got to do a whole bunch of away missions to try to replenish it. Research menu. This game has a research tree. You will unlock new mech parts. You will unlock new guns. You will unlock new things. You will unlock new armor. You will unlock new options here. You will assign your science team to work on these things, and until they are done, they will not come back. On particular intervals, you are bringing people out of cryo in this game. So you're operating on a calendar over here. It'll tell you when your researchers are getting done. It'll tell you when you're done defrosting new scientists and engineers and pilots. But there's also this scary little menu over here. What does this mean? This is the overall functionality of your megacity. If you click this guy right here and you rotate it around, you can get a rough idea of what's happening day to day. You've got your calendar, and then you've got the city itself. Every single one of these bubbles is a part of your city that you can upgrade. Now, if you take a look at the right, we have 40% of the power we need in order to be functioning optimally. We are going to need 59% power production. City damage is at 46%. Bad things are going to happen until we get this place up to 70% 70% integrity. Componentry. This is what we use to upgrade all these guys right here, and we produce a certain amount of it per day. Consumer goods. Same thing. This is stuff like clothing. This is stuff like food, things that people need to survive. We're only supplying 20% out of 48% right now. Food supply, same thing. Humans that are on board the Ark. We have 12,000 humans on board. However, 3,000, 4,000 of them are wounded. So we need to get our medical bays all nice and fixed up so that we're getting more scientists and more engineers coming out of freeze. And so things are not super great right now. Every single district is also going to give you a little bit of a bonus. You can click on these bubbles. There's no easy way to do this. You've just got to kind of like memorize where they're at. You can go through and you can upgrade these areas and it'll tell you the bonuses that you're getting. For right now, it would be a good idea, since consumer goods seems to be the thing that we're struggling with the most. I need to find the factory and the hydroponics, and we need to fix that up. So we have a protein farm right here. We can upgrade this for 40 components and a number of other metals. I'm going to go ahead and do that. We'll get that upgraded because that's an easy peasy win with our people. Technically, I could upgrade it again tomorrow, but we've got a waste recycling center. We've got residential areas. There's hydroponics right there. That'll work. That's 4% food supply that we're going to be able to bring in. So let's boost that up. We're now at 25%, 24% of what we need to produce in order to feed everybody, which will avoid more people being converted into wounded. Life support systems, those also need to be taken a look at, but unfortunately for right now, we don't have that. We've got to wait for a delivery of more of the components that I just ordered over here. And that is the core rotation of the game right there. I realize that I move very quickly, but I've dedicated quite a bit of time to this game over the last few years, and the number one thing I see from people on the forums is that they just don't understand what they're doing. The game is tutorialized, but it's very brief in its tutorials and its pop-ups. You've got to dig through here. I have actually read like the whole thing in previous playthroughs, so I have some rough idea what I'm doing out here. But over here inside of our pilots, everybody's exhausted, so chances are we probably just want to go to the next day. There we go. Next day, we're looking good. Wounded humans are down by about 100 people have been healed, so that's good. Consumer goods are up, and I think that food supply is a little bit down right now. There's going to be some variation before things take hold. We can click and drag that off real fast. We could go out for another mission, or we could bypass a day or two until our researches get done and we start seeing what we can produce. People only need to rest for a single day before they go on out. We can take a look around us for anything that might be a problem. So we've got a desert on that side. We've got a tundra on this side. So tundras I like to clear first. We've also got what looks like a little rat hole over here that it wants us to clear out. This could potentially be risky if we end up getting sandwiched. We may want to re-equip some of the mechs with piercing rounds in order to get this, or at least fragmentation frangible rounds that sort of turn into shotgun blasts when they hit enemies. Fighting in tight spaces may necessitate that. So with the mechs that I've got out in engineering right now, I'm going to suggest that we re-equip these. So let's take you off of there. We'll take you off of there. Let's get Frog in here. We'll take you off of there and you off of there. Let's go over to weapons. And it looks like both of these right here are using, I think, fire. No, that's not fire. Is that rockets? Okay, so these are bolter rounds that penetrate through the enemy a little bit better. I would suggest shards after hit instead. We'll save that. We're going to drag another gun out. We're going to import. We're going to drag another gun out, and we're going to import. We're going to go back over to mechs, and we're going to drag you out. And with steel, we're going to want to put in probably 2 of those bad boys right there on steel. We don't have enough engineers to redeploy them, back. Okay, so we'll just get them equipped for right now, and then we'll wait till tomorrow for the deployment. For you over here, I'm willing to get a little bit more wild and crazy with this. We'll give you 1 box, and we'll give you 1 weapon. Pay attention to your weight down here. Pay attention to your energy. If your mechs get damaged, there's a mini game you can play right here on the little wrench. So let's go through these little menus down here. You've got the armor menu. You can change people's armor around if that's what you want to do. You can also change around ammo ratios and things of that nature to change around the weight or the amount of HP that the mech has. You've got self-destruct systems that you can enable. You can have someone... I've had someone punch out in a mission before and self-destruct the mech because they were isolated by themselves off to the side, and so they did the hero thing where they're like, tell my family I'm gonna love them forever, and they hit the self-destruct and lit off a nuclear explosion that blew up every single bug like on that chunk of the map. Like your mechs can take autonomy and they can do that. This is the repair menu. Short and skinny of this menu confuses a lot of people. If you see an icon over here that is not rivets, that means there's damage. You can either assign engineers to redistribute that damage to other systems, which will spread it to the entire mech and generally make the repairs more expensive, but it gets them back on the line faster for less penalties. Or you can click this button right here to just use your Metalite to fix whatever's wrong right this second. In most cases, if you only have 1 slightly damaged component, it's better just to use the Metalite. Otherwise, distributing the damage will make it a much more expensive repair than it needs to be. You've also got power over here. You can reroute power if you want to so that you're drawing from different sides of the reactors, things of that nature. You can paint your mechs over here if that's what you want to do so that you can color code them by loadout or by their function or whatever else. You can get more mechs by ordering through production. We're probably going to want to wait a day or two till our next mission. I need to get some of my engineers back, and so we are where we are right now. You get on out of the way. Looks like we've got an easy gimme mission right here. And our engineers are not coming back for another couple days. Apparently, I have a clone that's rocking out down here, too. Your pilots have different stats. Reaction time, that's exactly what it sounds like. It's how fast they react to orders. It's how fast they react to enemies around them. How fast they can retarget and re-aim after destroying a target. Vitality is their HP, and that goes down to 0. They're dead. You've got stress resistance. That's basically just how stressed out they are right now. It makes them less likely to panic. CBS test. CBS test is basically a esotericism for how well trained they are, how disciplined they are, how likely they are to follow orders or break from the established plan when you tell them to do something. A low CBS score pilot may go off on their own and think they know better than you and just do their own thing. You can change all this stuff around. So, for example, I've got Barb in the trainer right now. Barb was working on her CBS test score because it was really bad. You can also put them in the hospital if you wanted them to increase their vitality and stress resistance. Just be forewarned that I need the clone to go in here as soon as he's not doing anything. There we go. I need the clone to be sent to basic training because he's got no stats. Little number on the side is their level, by the way. As they level up, they get better at stuff, and they recover faster in base and generally are just less of a headache for you. But anyways, she was working on her CBS test scores because they were very, very poor. Let's go ahead and assign a couple of dudes. We're going to want to put in freeze. We're going to want to we can sort by best average stats, and Barbara's actually up there right now, so we probably want to focus on her a little bit. I don't know what that little icon means, but your pilots do get a rapport with one another. As they work together longer and longer, they will like each other. If you put pilots on teams where they don't know each other, they are less efficient. If you put them on teams where they have been together on previous missions, they know each other, they know each other's style, gives them like a little boost, makes them play a little bit better. So we've got this mission over here. We've got a storm wall coming in, which is a little unfortunate. But this guy over here, we shouldn't have heating problems, and it looks like there's 5 nests and there's 2 bruckas. All right, let's throw those in there. Let's see how this thing goes. So taking an initial look at the lay of the field, it looks like we have a number of contacts down here to the south that we'll probably want to look into. Let's go ahead and give them the southward move order. Right now, we are enemy spawner hunting. That's all that we care about. We're trying to make a strong initial push. And we're going to want to watch ammo amounts and ammo values. If we even get one spawner right here, I'll be pretty happy. But knocking out early spawners before the enemy has a chance to awaken is a good idea. Those right there are enemy turrets. When you see those red circles popping up, you don't want to be inside those circles. They're like little spore spitters that will fire at you and damage your mechs from range, and they hurt really, really badly. So don't play around with it. I don't know if there's an automatic reload order, although I do wish that there was. An automatic, being able to hit R and tell everybody to reload all weapons during, like, slow periods would be a good idea. That's one of those little functions of the UI that I don't know if it exists yet. I don't know. It may actually be in there, but this game has such a, I'm going to call it a robust UI. Such a chunky UI that it can be hard to tell sometimes. Let's flank around this way. We killed the big worm, but we only got one loot crate. The big worms don't really attack you. They just cruise around and spawn little enemies from when I watched them. And so if you kill them, they're the ones that are digging out these tunnels for the enemy, and they're full of minerals. They're basically loot bugs if you've ever played Deep Rock Galactic before. We have contact over here somewhere, a lot of bullets flying through the air, a lot of things happening. Get that pillar out of the way. I don't know what's over here. What's over here? Oh, a spawner. Good. All right, so we knocked out another spawner. We're going to have to wait a little bit for our next batch of orders. Let's go ahead and swing south. Swing low, sweet Mackie dudes. Coming for to murder some bugs. Swing low, little Mackie dudes. Murdering a whole bunch of bugs. Oh, we got another worm. Yeah, get the worm. Get the worm. If you can kill him, he'll drop loot. Stay away from the giant death ring, though. We definitely want to get him if we can. We also have enemies coming in from the southeast. Unfortunately, there's a very, very inconvenient pillar in the way, and everybody's out of ammo at the same time. All right, fall back a little bit. We'll keep them moving down here. Give me full screen. I mean, it looks like they're venting some serious bullets at the boss man. And they've got him locked up, so we might as well keep the pressure on. I'm a little bit worried that they are not going to effectively manage their ammunition, and he's going to resume doing what he was doing. And we're going to have to fall back again, but sometimes that's life. So I've been flanking around for a second, just trying to figure out the best angle of attack to go after this boss from. But they haven't made it simple. This guy actually has like a very, very narrow window over here due to the proceduralism of the levels. We got another spawner over here. Let's go ahead and make that our priority real fast. I would like to have no little buggy buddies coming in to bother us while we're trying to finish off the boss. Now I need you guys to push in, stun lock the boss with your slow bullets. Don't go through the shield, though. We got to wait for the shield to go down. Just kind of open up on him. We've got him stun locked, shields down. He should die very shortly. And there it is. All the loot in the world. Let's pick up our loot, and we should be ready to rock here. This is one of those games that's very intimidating. So when I was a kid, we had a game called Syndicate. My dad got it from a friend of his. The thing about Syndicate is this is a very complex bullfrog game. We only had the floppy disks. We did not have the manuals. I grew up figuring out games like this and fiddling with them. And so this is inherently attractive to me as a video game because I enjoy the exploration and I enjoy the figuring out and I enjoy the unexplained. I also had the benefit of the developers inside my Discord, like right this second. And so like I could always ping him and be like, hey man, what does this do? You know what I mean? Like, what exactly does this accomplish? And he could explain it to me. And in fact, even though the game does have an obtuse UI that takes a little while to get a handle on, there is a logic behind, like, everything that he's done. I've actually enjoyed the explanations why he's done things the way that he's done them as I've been asking, okay, so, like, why wouldn't we just do it this way then? There's always a logic there. There's always a logic there. Pretty smart guy, that Kyber. And so hopefully this video helped you get settled with Mech Engineers. The developer is in my Discord. You can also ask him questions over on Steam. There's a very helpful community with this one. but it's not just take a deep breath before you go into this one. It's going to hit you with a lot of information and a lot of crazy stuff really early on in the game. You're going to be losing. You're not going to be understanding why. You've got to bite down a little bit on this one before things are going to get better, before things are going to get more understandable, before things are going to start being, you know, less terrifying when you go into missions and whatnot. But I think the game is unlike anything else on Steam today, and unique titles are the reason why I got into indie gaming. Things like Neo Scavenger, games like this. I'm not interested in all the, you know, we turned a card game or a casino game into a roguelite. That shit bores me to tears. I'm just like, no, no, no. Like, I have no interest in it. That's kind of like derivative. It's like, I don't like that stuff. I like the games like this, like Delta V, where they go in their own direction. They don't give a damn about standards and practices of the modern industry. They want to make their own unique thing. And what results is, in games like this in Delta V, Neo Scavenger, Astronauts, what ends up happening is you end up with a game that has unparalleled atmosphere. Like a game that really, really grows on you as you start to learn the universe and how everything functions. And so I can't recommend Mech Engineers highly enough. If you can get through the initial learning curve, ooh, we unlocked an autocannon, I like the autocannon very, very much. This is a really good gun. The downside is it's crazy heavy, so we need to get its weight down a little bit. And then from there, I would say just get that rate of fire pumping, baby. I mean, it probably gets really good bonuses from this, too, because the numbers are much larger. Yeah, it gets good damage and armor penetration from points as well. I would say let's take this, and let's make it light the area on fire when it impacts. Yeah. Now we're pod racing. Now we're playing with portals. Okay, let's get that guy on out of there, and I'm going to slot him on into a mech. There are different mechs you'll get as you go through the game. I cannot speak highly enough of this game. Its reviews will almost universally be mixed due to the fact that this is one of those games that is really hard to wrap your head around and nothing is explained to you. If you are okay with that challenge, if you're kind of like an OG 90s gamer like me, who grew up playing complex micro prose, you know, UI heavy games with clicks and tabs and everything else, you're going to fit in right away right here. If you wanted a little bit more of a learning curve, I've done other videos on the game where I talk about basically the same stuff that I talked about here, but I should have given you at least a baseline level of competence to play the game, hopefully, and then figure everything else out for yourself. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, we are fooling around with a title called Mech Engineers. Tomorrow, we will be playing something else. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you for spending your time at the Nerd Castle. Games like this are my absolute pleasure to fool around with and show people. These are my favorite games to show off to people. I will catch you all next time, and that's about all I got for you. Bye, folks.